As a personal trainer and life coach specialising in working with mums, mindset is a topic that comes up a lot. Now, a mindset is basically a way of thinking, and having an unhelpful way of thinking or mindset will definitely work against you to derail any attempts that you make to create positive change or progress in your life. Now, many people, and mums are definitely no exception, have what's called an all or nothing mindset. An all or nothing mindset is a binary way of thinking, which can be responsible for a great deal of negative evaluations of yourself and others. All or nothing thinking is problematic in many ways. It's very limiting and creates extreme and impossible expectations. It demands perfection within yourself and within others, and leads to disappointment and feelings of failure. So what exactly is happening here? Well, all or nothing thinking is one of many forms of negative thought processes known as cognitive distortions. These are very common among people with anxiety and depression. All or nothing thinking refers to thinking in extremes. So you are either a success or a failure. Your performance was either brilliant or disastrous. You're either eating really healthily or you are not. When thinking in all or nothing terms, you split your views into black and white. Everything from your view of yourself to your life experiences is divided, leaving little room, if any, for the grey area in between, which, in reality, is where almost everything lives. All or nothing thinking often involves using absolute terms such as never or always. This type of thinking can also include an inability to see alternatives in a situation or solutions to a problem. Going to one of these two extremes when evaluating your life is the perfect storm for self-blame and even self-hatred, because what you're really doing is demanding perfection from yourself, since the only alternative in your mind is failure, and no one wants to think of themselves or be thought of as a failure. Some common examples include, well, I've eaten this donut, so I've completely ruined my diet, therefore I'm a failure and I'm going to give up. Or, it's too hard to attend the class, I can't get up at 7 a.m, I am not a morning person. Or, I got sick, so I stopped the workout program and just never went back to it. How might you be using this all or nothing mindset in your life? Is it helping you? So I want you now to stop and think about it and make a list of how this kind of mindset might have affected you in the past. Now, what can you do if you do have a tendency to this all or nothing thinking pattern? Well, here are my top tips. Number 1, don't believe you have to do everything perfectly. Those with this thinking pattern will often give up or stop doing something because they don't feel like they are giving it their all or performing to the best of their ability or doing very well. They would rather stop altogether than perform less than perfectly. This unfair and pretty uncompassionate demand that you be anything less than perfect can come across any aspect of your life, from your work to your exercise program. This type of thinking can also derail any attempt to help or improve yourself. So, for example, say you're on a meal plan or you're trying to exercise every day. If you slip off the diet or skip exercising for just one day, you give yourself an F and in disgust give up altogether. And then comes the inevitable self-blame, self-disgust and feelings of failure. So here we need to learn that something is always better than nothing. For example, exercising once a week is obviously better than not exercising at all that week. Or exercising for 5 minutes a day is better than not moving at all. Number 2, have compassion for yourself. Self-compassion is vital. Be nice to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Treat yourself like you would your best friend. If your best friend told you that she'd eaten some chocolate when she had promised herself that she wouldn't, I bet that you wouldn't tell her that she's a failure, that she should just give up on all her health and fitness goals and resolve to never be healthy. That would be a crazy and horrendous thing to say, but we say things like that to ourselves all the time. You need to realize and accept that setbacks happen. You need to appreciate that you are human, not a robot, and that you can't control things outside of yourself. And sometimes you need a break or to allow yourself to not always be perfect. But how we treat ourselves, how we speak to ourselves, is one of the few things we can control in life. In my view, there is never a good reason not to be kind to yourself. Treating yourself with compassion helps you to break the habit of the all or nothing thinking, because when you're kind to yourself, it's easier to see the ways in which you're not kind to yourself. This allows you to become aware of the emotional harm caused by constantly telling yourself, it has to be perfect. If it isn't, I've failed. Number 3, focus on what you did do well and on what you did accomplish. This is probably my favorite tip because it is so immediately helpful. When you engage in all or nothing thinking, you discount as unimportant or unworthy all that you did do well and all that you did accomplish. Think about that for a few moments. Discounting the positive in this way is both unfair to you and self-destructive because it leaves you feeling like a failure. I often have clients coming to me telling me that they've had a terrible week because they didn't do as many workouts as they'd wanted to and they'd had a pizza. This completely disregards the things that they did do really well, like getting in their 10,000 steps a day, having their matcha tea on 5 of the mornings, and doing a meditation, as well as other positive things that they did do for their mental and physical health. This tendency of going straight to self-criticism, to focus on what went less than perfect, is just a habit. So instead, look for what went well and spend some time thinking about all the things that you did do and congratulate yourself for them. Number 4, think about the language that you use and try to avoid absolutes. The language you use is so powerful. How you talk to yourself is so powerful. If you find yourself using words like never, can't, impossible, nothing about yourself and your abilities, try and find gentler, less judgmental words or phrases. For example, I can never stick to a meal plan is an extremely negative and judgmental way of talking to or about yourself. If you amend your language to something like, I sometimes find it difficult to stick to meal plans, you're giving yourself more leeway. You're not judging yourself negatively or making your statement a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you are much more likely to jump back up and on that meal plan as and when you slip off. If all you ever expect from yourself is perfection, then all you're really doing is setting yourself up for disappointment and probably failure in your own eyes. And you'll get to a stage at some point when you may even stop trying in the first place because you won't want to risk those feelings of disappointment and failure that will inevitably come a calling. So why make yourself feel worse when you have the ability to make yourself feel better? Showing up, trying your best, that is all you can ever expect from yourself. It's always helpful to have a plan, but give yourself freedom within that plan to have those worth it moments when you break the meal plan for a slice of your child's birthday cake that you spent hours and hours slaving over, or those exhausted times when actually the best and kindest thing for you to do is to stay in bed and sleep rather than get up and exercise. So, which of these techniques do you think might work for you and why? Spend a moment now thinking about these 4 options and note down which you're going to try and why you believe it's going to work for you. Excellent. Now, theory is great, but I want you to make sure that you use this information. Therefore, now I want you to anticipate something that may happen over the next few weeks that, in the past, would have led you to fall into the all or nothing mindset. It could be feelings of frustration at the huge pile of laundry waiting to be done. It could be some disappointing news. It could be some amazing news. What, in the past, has led to this mindset, and what are you going to do to counter it? Spend a few minutes now making a plan for yourself to help you to cope when these life challenges come up, which inevitably they will. Doing something is always better than doing nothing. So do something every day that takes you a step closer to your goals, and all those somethings are going to add up to great health and happiness in your future.